I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what video this is going to go into yet, but it's been about a week since I did my birthday book haul, and so I'm finally here with my bag of books to share with you what I got and also remind myself what I got. Because, of course, I don't remember. I only remember the one that's on top, and this was like a last minute find. Like we were at the counter, we'd already looked at this section. Canby stopped playing with my cord. And I'd somehow missed it. And I was just standing there waiting for the person working the cash to come back. And I happened to look up and I saw an author name and I was like, what the heck? How did I miss this before? And so I went over to look at it, and I didn't have a whole lot of time to look at this, but I think this is a standalone by Piers Anthony. I have some other books of his. I haven't read all of them. And I mean, the Xanth series is huge, so I don't think I'll ever finish that one, but there's another series that I'd like to go back to, but I think I'll have to reread. But either way, this is very cool. I hadn't really looked at the front of this at all yet. There's some interesting stuff going on in there. I don't know if you can see all of the interesting stuff going on there. But this was a really cool find. It is dirty as shit. I'm glad I didn't put these with my books yet, because that's definitely a dead book eater. So these need to be cleaned and dealt with. But there's the first one. Is it okay if I make a paw right here, Candy? Also, something to mention is that some of these books are going to be not mine. So there's going to be some super surprises in here too. Let's see what else we got. What's this one? Okay, yeah, so there's two books in here by Dean Koontz. The other one's going to be really far down because this was like another kind of last minute. I didn't know how many books I was going to find that I would want. And so part of what I did was like I saw like some authors that I haven't read but I'd like to try, and so I was kind of like narrowing down to like one book of each of those, and I'd already picked one by Dean Koontz, and then I had room in the bag, so I went back for the other one that I had been looking at. I didn't even tell you. Let me start by saying Piers Anthony, and it's called Out of Phase. And for all I know, this is actually part of the Xanth series. Again, I didn't really look super carefully at it. Anyways, oh, this is book 4. How did I miss this? Oh dear. Okay, well, that's fine. We'll figure that out at some point. And then this one is False Memory by Dean Koontz, and there is another Dean Koontz in there, but like I said, it's at the bottom, so we'll get to that. I don't really remember. I think there was definitely a point where I was just like, I'd really like to fill my bag, and so picked up some like weird stuff, or stuff that like I would have just walked past. But then didn't because I looked closer at things. And this is called Brebeuf's Ghost. And it's by Daniel David Moses. Maybe I should be reading the backs of these to you. Is that something that I should do? Maybe. I'll just read the back of it. 1649 brings bad news to the Ojibwa communities of Lake Nipissing. Nipissing? Where do I put the emphasis in that? I've never said it out loud before. The Iroquois or Iroquois or Iroquois, I've heard it said all the ways. We always said Iroquois, like, growing up and learning, but I'm not really sure anymore because I've heard people say it a bunch of different ways. Are on the warpath, killing traders and Christians at the mission of Saint Marie. Guess who is going to be next? The shaman is worried about Wendigos, the black robe. The shaman is worried about Wendigos, the black robe about the fires of hell. Oh, the black robe, like the missionary. Okay. Worlds collide in renowned First Nations playwright Daniel David Moses' epic, dark, funny, and finally healing vision of early Canada. So this is an interesting one because it's actually a play. I don't really read a lot of plays, but I don't know, that's kind of interesting. Sorry, I thought for a second my thing was using the wrong camera. It's not. This one I don't recognize. So either it was picked up for me, or it was picked up, like, by Ben for Ben. It's called Undead? What is this? Oh, Under the Ribs of Death by John Marlon. This haunting perceptive story of a Hungarian boy lost between the customs of his parents and those of the Canada to which he passionately desires to belong is both a moving appeal for tolerance and a vivid recreation of the dreams which live in the heart of an imaginative child as he grows to manhood. Yeah, I definitely don't remember picking that up, but I'm interested in reading it. But I assume Ben picked that one up. Whether he picked it up for me or for him, I'm unsure. Oh no, I don't know how to say this person's name. Maybe I'll look it up later and put in a correction if I have to, but The Blue Fox by Sion. It's actually pronounced Shion. The year is 1883. The stark Icelandic winter landscape is the backdrop. We follow the priest Baldur Skuggason on his hunt for the enigmatic blue fox. And just as the priest pulls the trigger, we are swept away to the world of the naturalist Frederick B. Fredrickson and his charge Abba, who suffers from Down syndrome. When she was found shackled to the timbers of a ship run aground in 1868, Frederick had fortuitously come to Abba's rescue. The fates of all these characters are intrinsically bound and gradually, surprisingly unraveled in this spellbinding fable that is part mystery, part fairy tale. So this is an Icelandic book, which is definitely part of the reason that I picked it up, just because I think reading stuff from, like, not America, because I love to read Canadian literature, obviously. Anyways. This sounded interesting, and it sounds like there's, like, maybe a dual POV that's gonna, like, intertwine, so that's kind of interesting as well. And there's gonna be, I assume, clear parallels between the person who's hunting the blue fox and then the naturalist. This was picked up for me. It's a collection of short stories by Ray Cluley, probably monsters. So it's a bunch of horror short stories. From British Fantasy Award-winning author Ray Cluley comes Probably Monsters, a collection of dark, weird literary horror stories. Sometimes the monsters are blood-sucking fiends with fleshy wings. Sometimes they're shambling dead things that won't rest, or simply creatures red in tooth and claw. But often they're worse than any of these. They're the things that make us howl in the darkness, hoping no one hears. These are the monsters we make ourselves, and they can find us anywhere. So that sounds interesting, and while I already have a lot of short story collections, I'm always happy to have more. So there might come a month or season where I read just short stories. So that might be a thing that comes up in a TBR in the near future. This is another one where I knew that I wanted to read something by this author because it's an author that, like, I hear a lot about. That's John Grisham. This is The Pelican Brief. Part of this was, like, for Dean Koontz, I, like, read through the backs, but for some reason that wasn't really helping me with the John Grisham ones, so I did actually just go to, like, Goodreads and then look for what is, like, the highest rated, and this was near the top based on the ones that were available to me. This one has been made into a movie, it looks like, because it's got Julia Roberts and Denzel Washington on the back of it. This is part of the problem with some books, is, like, you can't even find the, like, back cover. Like, this back cover doesn't exist. The only thing to tell me what this is about, it says 2 Supreme Court justices have been assassinated. One lone law student has stumbled upon the truth. An investigative journalist wants her story. Everyone else wants her dead. And that seems really interesting. This might be one of those books where like I read the book and then watch the movie, because I've definitely not seen the movie and I clearly haven't read the book. So that'll be interesting. We'll toss that in the book and movie TBR list. I vaguely remember picking this one up. Sisters in Crime by Marilyn Wallace. It says, come along on a dark, perilous journey with the sisters in crime. Barbara Michaels follows two runaway teenagers to a chilling rendezvous with terror. Sarah Paretsky stalks the halls of a city hospital to unveil a surgeon's killer. Dorothy Salisbury Davis casts a murderess freed from prison into the flames of a small-town justice. Sue Grafton trails a private eye who teaches a mystery club the ABCs of murder. These are just a few of the brilliant tales of mystery and suspense that lurk in the pages of this exciting new anthology. I forgot. This is also short stories. Rich in diversity, but always intriguing, Sisters in Crime includes stories of classic detection, psychological suspense, police procedurals, women in jeopardy, and features today's master storytellers, writers of such skill, imagination, and wit. It's absolutely criminal. So this is another one that I got because it's short stories, partially because I like to write short stories, and so I need to read more short stories, but I need to read short stories that are in genres that I want to write in. And I found that during Inktober, a lot, like, not a lot, but like a fair amount of stories came up that were crime and mystery-ish. And I haven't read a whole lot of crime and mystery, and I certainly haven't read a whole lot of crime and mystery in short story form. So that's part of the reason I picked this up. Also, as I'm recording this, I've been reading a lot of mystery and crime-based books, which you've either seen or will see in the November reading wrap-up. So this sounds interesting. For kind of like for studying purposes, if that makes sense. For research purposes, I suppose. The Last Hunter Pursuit, Jeremy Robinson. This was definitely picked up by Red for Red. But let's find out what the heck he picked up here. I was 13 years old when I was kidnapped. They took me from my family, from my friends, from everything I knew, and stole my innocence. They brought me to a world beneath the surface of Antarctica, where I was broken and trained by a hunter named Ninnis. He served the ancient Nephilim, half-human, half-demon monsters. Okay. My personality was buried in my subconscious and replaced by that of Ul, a hunter and killer. For a time, I too served the Nephilim. As the first and only human born on Antarctica, they believed that I could contain the spirit of their fallen king, Nephil, and lead them to conquer humanity. But I was stronger than they knew and escaped deep into the underworld, where I've been hiding for the past 2 years. I live in a cavern which is somehow lush with green vegetation, eking out a living and cowering from the confrontation that I know awaits me. But the nightmare has found me. I can smell them. The hunters. They have discovered my hideout. The pursuit of Solomon Ul Vincent, the last hunter, has begun. If they catch me, this is where my story will end. That sounds super interesting. I don't think Nephilim are half demon. I'm pretty sure Nephilim are part angel, but I mean, I can understand switching that up and it not totally being wrong. And then the other thing that I'm curious about is, as the first and only human born on Antarctica, I wonder if that means that this is, like, set a long time ago, or if lots of, like, if nobody has actually, or, like, very few or nobody has been born on Antarctica. Again, bringing in some, like, really weird and random knowledge. There are places where it's, like, illegal to be pregnant and have a baby. like you can't be born in these places, even if you are born in these places. So I also wonder if it has something to do with that. Although, like, looking at the front, like, he has a spear, so that leads me to believe that it's probably set far in the past. But who knows? This one I picked up simply because it's Christmas time. And it's called Christmas Revels by Mary Jo Putney. I'll show you without the light shining on it too bad. I'm not even sure I read the back of it. I was just like, Christmas stories, let's do it. So this will probably show up in my December TBR. I don't know. I already know what I'm reading for December. So I don't know if I'll get around to short stories, but we'll see. The back says, celebrate. I love writing Christmas stories because they include 3 of my favorite things: tradition, lots of emotion, and a guaranteed happy ending. That's why I'm delighted that Berkley is offering this holiday collection, which includes 4 of my classic historical novellas, plus something special, my very first contemporary novella. Okay, so it's not short stories, it is novellas too, so that kind of changes things up a little bit. In a holiday fling, a British actress and a Hollywood cameraman team up to film a Christmas show for a good cause. Anything that happens between them will be strictly temporary holiday fling, or might it be more? In the classic historical stories, the Christmas Cuckoo features a level-headed young woman who goes to the local coaching inn and comes home with the wrong Jack Howard. Sunshine for Christmas has a depressed young aristocrat heading for Italy for the holidays and finding a most unexpected bonus. The Christmas Tart is the tale of a young Frenchwoman down on her luck whose bleak choice for survival takes her to a new chance for happiness, while the Black Beast of Beltane turns Beauty and the Beast into what is probably my very favorite holiday love story. What all these tales have in common is 2 people discovering life's greatest gift, love, and at the happiest time of year in joy. So this is basically a story of Hallmark Christmas movies in novella form, which is kind of fun. It's possible I read one of these. The title, The Christmas Tart, just showed up. Yeah, The Christmas Tart. I don't know why. I mean, I kind of want to read all of them, but The Christmas Tart and The Black Beast of Beltane kind of stood out to me. So maybe. Either way, that book will show up again in the TBR for sure. This is one that I picked up, and I have no idea if I actually have the intention of reading it or not. But I watched a lot of The Nanny when I was a kid, and I love Fran Drescher, so I thought this was a fun one to pick up. It doesn't even really have, is that our back cover? Yeah, okay. So, The Queen of Queens hits the big time. Known and loved by millions around the world as The Nanny, Fran Drescher, with her inimitable voice and eye-popping outfits, has, for the first time, detailed her outrageous climb up the show business ladder. In Enter Whining, Fran, fresh, funny, and fantastic as ever, tells the backstage story of her transformation from Flushing girl to the Queen of Queens. From her long and happy marriage to her high school sweetheart and co-producer Peter Mark Jacobson, to her hysterical face-to-face encounters on and off the set with stars like Robin Williams, Warren Beatty, Barbara Streisand, Jay Leno, David Letterman, Howard Stern, and many more, Fran dishes like nobody else can. With hilarious anecdotes and never-before-seen snapshots from Fran's family album, you'll feel like you've spent an afternoon with a best friend. Whether she's schmoozing Diana, Princess of Wales, recalling her wildly entertaining Wedding from Hell, pitching her show idea to a network exec 47,000 feet in the air, revealing her secrets to staying thin, wait till you see the chubby photos, don't love this, or traveling the world with her beloved dog Chester, Fran Drescher has shopped in the bargain basement of failure and sparkled in the four-state suite of success. So relax, grab a nosh, put your feet up, and get ready for a side-splitting, one-of-a-kind ride with America's sexiest funny lady, Fran Drescher. Charming, delightful, and irreverent, Fran Drescher tells a great story, especially when it's her own. I don't know, I hadn't actually read that, I just, saw it, and I was like, I love Fran Drescher, and so, I'm actually more inclined to read it now. It is kind of cool that there are pictures throughout as well. I'll give you a little. Fractured, a thriller by Kate Watterson. This is definitely one of the books that I picked up just because it's in a... This is originally from IDA, and that makes me laugh so hard. Does IDA even exist anymore? I don't know. I picked this up because it is a thriller, and again, that's just like a genre that I'd like to explore more. I've watched a lot of horror and thrillers and things like that, but I haven't read a lot of them, so I want to read more. That's currently the kind of like book that I'm reading, but I'm gonna need to break it up with some other stuff. I think I want to throw in some fantasy. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the new year brings us. It was really where we're at in the year, because I know what my reading looks like for the rest of the year. This says, Milwaukee homicide detective Ellie McIntosh bizarre... Oh my gosh. Milwaukee homicide detective Ellie McIntosh's bizarre case takes gruesome to a new level, and is eerily and frustratingly familiar. She has seen the signature work of the killer before, but cannot connect to the victims. After being shot in the line of duty on his last case, Ellie's partner Jason Santiago is glad to be back on the job. His relationship with Ellie has evolved from being platonic co-workers into something else, at least as far as Jason is concerned. When a patient reveals to therapist Dr. Georgia Lukens that her roommate is involved in the grisly murders, Dr. Lukens must decide if these are the ramblings of a delusional patient or something more. As Ellie, with the help of Jason and Dr. Lukens, pieces together a macabre... As Ellie, with the help of Jason and Dr. Lukens, pieces together a macabre puzzle of past and present sins, it becomes clear that the madness takes many forms, and that it may be too late to stop her partner from becoming its next victim. There are a few things that make me want to read this. I think the ethical question of when a therapist, psychologist, counselor, whatever, like, passes on that information, like, how do they make the decision between this is fake news and like they're like making this up, or they're trying to throw themselves into this or whatever, and this is real? And I mean, I think like the easy answer is that if they say something about it, you have to tell the police, kind of thing. But I feel like there's probably some gray areas where people are a little unsure if that's the right call or not. Also, welcome to the show, Iggy. I also like the automatic tension and conflict of it being clear that one partner thinks that this is turning into something beyond platonic, and we're unsure if the other person is thinking it or not. And then also the, like, this matches the, like, mode of a killer that I've seen before, but there's no obvious connection. That's always kind of like a fun story to me. Oh, we found the other Dean Koontz. This one is Your Heart Belongs to Me. And since I know that I didn't read the back of the other one, I'm gonna grab it. Ugh. That was difficult. Okay, so for Your Heart Belongs to Me, and this is really funny. I'd heard this name before, but I didn't really like know anything. And then somebody shared a TikTok or a reel or something of him talking about his writing routine, and he was so hilarious about it. It was very like you just sit down and write kind of thing. Like, I grab my coffee and then I sit down and then I put my fingers on the keyboard, and it was very funny. So the back of this says, 1 year after the heart transplant that saved his life, 35-year-old Ryan Perry has never felt better. He's getting back everything he nearly lost forever. His business, his life, and with luck, his beloved girlfriend. Miracles do happen. Then the unmarked gifts begin to arrive. A box of candy hearts, a heart-shaped pendant. Most disturbing of all is a graphic heart surgery video and its chilling message, Your heart belongs to me. Ryan is being stalked by someone who feels entitled to everything he has. She's the spitting image of the 26-year-old donor of the heart beating steadily in Ryan's chest. She's coming to take it back. Because I don't know nearly enough about this book, or even what Dean Koontz writes, I don't know if this is like her twin, or if this is something supernatural, or if it's meant to sound like it's supernatural, but it actually isn't, or like the other way around. So, just because I don't know enough, I am like super intrigued by the possibility of supernatural going on here. And then we'll quickly switch back to false memory, which I mentioned in the beginning and didn't read to you because I hadn't decided what I was doing with this video, with this video yet. But this one's False Memory by Dean Koontz. It says, it's a fear more paralyzing than falling, more terrifying than absolute darkness, more horrifying than anything you can imagine. It's the one fear you cannot escape, no matter where you run, no matter where you hide. It's the fear of yourself. It's real. It can happen to you, and facing it can be deadly. Fear for your mind. Or false memory, fear for your mind. I love anything that is playing around with how the mind works and the ways that it doesn't work the way that it should, kind of thing. So the idea of false memories. I talk about memories a lot just in like everyday life when we're talking about editing and writing and stuff, because particularly for editing, sometimes we forget what we've written, or we like misremember it without realizing that we are, and we think that we know what it is because we wrote it. But sometimes we don't, and so that's why reading back through your own stuff and reading like large portions of it for large picture editing is so important. But anyways, false memory sounds really interesting. Because there is a fear that you don't know your mind as well as you think you do. Oh, sorry, Iggy. I don't recall picking this one up. Oh, interesting. It has a little thingy from the author that I just read and really enjoyed his book. Oh. Are we getting close to time, or are you just being annoying? You're just being annoying. It's 11 o'clock. The Fury by Jason Pinter. What? I know, you're very cute. Can you not see that I'm being here then? Alright, let's see if I can read the back of this while also petting the cat. I don't remember picking this up, though. Henry Parker must uncover the most devastating secret of all, his own. Am I my brother's keeper? If I'd known I had a brother, I might have been. But he's dead, shot point blank in a rat-hole apartment, wasted by hunger and heroin. Stephen Gaines, a man with whom I shared nothing except a father. For some reason, this stranger who shared my blood came to me for help, and I blew him off thinking he was just some junkie. Now I'm forced to question everything I ever knew and figure out why this man was murdered in cold blood. All I can do for Stephen Gaines now is find his killer, and with the help of Amanda Davies, uncover the whole hard truth. If it means tracking down a vicious drug kingpin who may or may not exist, then so be it. Yeah, I don't remember picking this up, so this must have been a Ben pickup? I don't know. But I kind of want to read it myself. It sounds really interesting. It does make me wonder if the main character is law enforcement or not. Or if this is just like some guy trying to figure out what's going on. You're very cute, my boy. Yes. Alright, what's the next one, Iggy? What do we got? Oh, this is another John Grisham one. I think this must be one that Ben picked up. It's a good thing we didn't pick up the same one. That would be embarrassing. Unless I picked up two by him. Maybe I picked up two. The Brethren. Oh, actually, I remember looking at this. Maybe I did pick this up. They call themselves the Brethren. 3 disgraced former judges doing time in a They call themselves the Brethren, three disgraced former judges doing time in Florida federal prison. One was sent up for tax evasion, another for skimming bingo profits, and the third for a career-ending drunken joyride. Meeting daily in the prison law library, taking exercise walks in their boxer shorts, these judges turned felons can reminisce about old court cases, dispense a little jailhouse justice, and contemplate where their lives went wrong. Or they can use their time in prison to get very rich very fast. And so they sit sprawled in the prison library, furiously writing letters, fine-tuning a wickedly brilliant extortion scam, while events outside their prison walls begin to erupt. A bizarre presidential election is holding the nation in its grips, and a powerful government figure is pulling some very hidden strings. For the Brethren, the timing couldn't be better, because they've just found the perfect victim. So I thought this was interesting because it's still like a law enforcement type thing, but it's three cons who used to be part of the court system, because all three of them used to be judges, and they've chosen to be more criminally instead of trying to like right their ways. Because I mean, kind of like relatively like minor crime. Like, it's not violent crime, I guess is what I mean by that. Although the career-ending drunken joyride might have ended up violent. We're unsure based on this, but otherwise it was, like, white-collar crime or whatever. Like, it involved breaking money laws, which I'm not saying I condone by any means. Just, like, I don't know. It could definitely end people's lives in, like, different ways. But anyways, that's besides the point. But, like, they continue to just, like, continue the scam. Actually creating a new scam, especially since only two of them were scammers before, in some way, shape, or form. And then the idea that, like, there's some sort of parallel happening, or something happening outside the prison that helps them do what they're doing, it seems interesting to me as well. And then we have a writer's house in Wales. By Jan Morris, but I believe there are multiple writers in this one, or I might be thinking of a different one. Journalist, historian, travel writer, novelist Jan Morris has guided countless readers through faraway places with her keen eye and eloquent turns of phrase. In this intimate and fascinating memoir, she invites us into her own home in the magical heartland of Wales. Wales is a realm unto itself, ancient, unique, and unforgettable. In this craggy country lashed by the Atlantic dwell the last of the original Britons. A people with a colorful history and a language all their own. Long before English was spoken, Welshmen, Cymry in their native language, were composing epics in their lilting Celtic. Is it Cymry or Cymry? I'm not sure. I think it's one of those, though. Morrises have inhabited this far western corner of Britain for centuries. The Trefan Morris, Jan Morris's house between the sea and the mountains, is the 18th century stable block of her former family home nearby. Morris regards this modest building not only as a reflection of herself and her life, but also as epitomizing Wales, which has for centuries defiantly preserved its own identity. In this fluent and welcoming book, she explores the colorful history of the house, then invites us inside for an entertaining and wide-ranging visit that touches on everything from her 8,000-volume library to the mementos and reminiscences of wanderer's rich life, and the familiar yet intriguing pleasures of a Welsh fireside. Warm and witty, informal and insightful, A Writer's House in Wales is a journey into the very soul of Wales and an esteemed writer's discovery of the profoundest meanings of Welshness. I was definitely just like going through the nonfiction sections because I've read almost no nonfiction this year, and I do enjoy nonfiction. So I kind of just wanted to make sure I had some nonfiction on my shelves to, like, go to when I felt like it. And I do also really like to have, I like to read a nonfiction, like, while I'm reading fiction. Like I like to like swap back and forth kind of thing, and I just like haven't been doing that. So this is one of the books that I picked up to help myself do that some more. Also, I just think it's interesting to see into the mind of other writers, and then also this is seeing into like a different culture also, which is always fun. Angels and Demons. This was a pick by Red for Red, but it's possible that I'll read it at some point. This is a pretty well-known book, but I'm still going to read you the back. The Ancient Secret Brotherhood, a devastating new weapon of destruction, an unthinkable target. World-renowned Harvard symbologist Robert Langdon is summoned to a Swiss research facility to analyze a cryptic symbol seared into the chest of a murdered physicist. What he discovers is unimaginable. A deadly vendetta against the Catholic Church by a centuries-old underground organization, the Illuminati. I did not know this was about the Illuminati, and that feels embarrassing a little bit. Desperate to save the Vatican from a powerful time bomb, Langdon joins forces in Rome with the beautiful and mysterious scientist Vittoria Vetra. Together, they embark on a frantic hunt through sealed crypts, dangerous catacombs, deserted cathedrals, and the most secretive vault on Earth, the long-forgotten Illuminati lair. Interesting. I've seen The Da Vinci Code. I didn't read it, and then I think Angels and Demons was also made into a movie, and I haven't seen it. Obviously haven't read it either. So not, like, super top of my list. And I didn't pick it up, but I am interested in it still. Oh, I think it's called More Than Meets the Eye. By Roe Johansson and Iris Johansson. It's confusing because I'm pretty sure this line here is the title. But obviously the authors are far more important than that in this case. This is definitely by Red for Red, because I don't remember seeing this at all. New York Times bestselling author. Oh, I don't need to read you that part. After scoring a plea deal in a high-profile murder trial, serial killer James Michael Barrett leads a grim parade of law enforcement officers to the body of his last victim. At the alleged burial site, the officers swing their shovels down and are met with a strange metallic sound they weren't expecting. In a blink, a terrific explosion rocks the woods, killing Barrett and most of the officers instantly. The detonation is only the beginning of a shocking case for FBI consultant Kendra Michaels. The string of heinous murders in the style of the very dead Barrett mysteriously continues. It becomes clear that he may not have been working alone. As the crimes accelerate, Kendra reluctantly accepts help from her college student, Trisha Walton, the only survivor of Barrett's attacks. But the killer has a terrifying plan that Kendra and her team are only beginning to understand. That also sounds really interesting to me. This is obviously in line with the books that I've recently read, and I'm kind of into it. So I'll put this on my TBR as well, I suppose. Thanks, Ben, for getting books that I also want to read. And this is the last one. This is an interesting one because I feel like I might need to update this book. It's the Canadian Writer's Handbook. But it's from like the 50s. And so I feel like there's probably at least some stuff that has changed as far as what we usually use. But it does feel like a good book to have around to like remind myself of some of the like technical terms for things, because like I'll be like editing and I'm like, I know that this is wrong, but I can't remember the like word for like this like mistake or whatever, or like this like type of word. Let me see if I can find like a good example of that. I don't know, like I'm not even sure what appositives are at the moment, but I probably know what they are. Let's find out. Page 15. Oops. An appositive is a special kind of modifier consisting of a noun or a group of words functioning as a noun. It is placed immediately after another noun, which it further defines or identifies. It is the same grammatical function as the noun it is in apposition with or juxtaposed to. Some further examples. Heidi, the girl who lived next door, has invited me to a party. Okay, I understand. I don't think I ever learned that that's what that was called. But it's good to know. So, I mean, I think this is really interesting. This is definitely more reference book than like I'm going to read it front to cover kind of thing. It's like a study aid or just like something to like go to when I'm unsure about if that's the way that that gets constructed or this is what that thing is called or whatever. I might learn some stuff. And again, I might have to update it, which is kind of fun. And maybe that can be like an ongoing project. Like I do like a chapter a month or something and see if it lines up with like current standards. I think that was the last book. Indubitably, that was the last book. That was the book of books. That was a lot of books. How many books was that? I think it's 19. I can't remember if I counted the one that's not in the stack or not. So it's 19 or 20 books for 25 bucks. It's like $1 a book. Like, not quite, but it was basically $1 a book. We probably could have shoved a couple more books in there too, but I just like I couldn't find more. The store was definitely like pretty well picked over. There were only 2 more days left on the sale before they were closing up and like shipping the books to their other location. So I definitely didn't find anything that I like went in kind of looking for because I had my TBR there, but a lot of the books that I have on the TBR are definitely books that were more recently published. I'm going to leave this here because my computer is going to die and I don't have it plugged in and I fear I will knock everything over. So there might be an intro and outro that looks different because I don't think I'm going to do it right now. Or this might be in the middle of another video, I don't know, but thank you so much for watching. Hope you had fun. I had a blast. Catch you next time. Bye.